Hello and welcome back to another draft with Mike with Tier Zero Gaming. I am joined today by my friend Bryan Butler. Hi,
Hey,
Bryan.
how's it going?
So this is, I believe, draft number 8. We are somewhere in the middle of Platinum, working our way to see where we get. This was June.
Okay.
This run was in the middle of June. I started a little late. I didn't actually start drafting until like the 10th or 15th or something.
Yeah, sounds right. Yeah.
So I will, fair warning to everybody, we do not push all the way to Mythic in June. Come July, though, we will be making the push to Mythic. We
Yeah.
will be trying to back up our claim and make sure we get those numbers in here.
Yeah, which
So,
makes me really jealous because every season I get to about Platinum 3 and can never progress past that.
fair.
So,
All right, so we're going to take a look at pack number 1 here. What do you see? I see a Breathe Your Last and a Witch Enchanter and an Area Auxiliary that are kind of like the standouts.
yep.
I'm going to tend towards the white cards over the black cards
Yeah.
more often than not.
Oh, yeah.
The Skittering Precursor, also a pretty solid card, but not something that I'm wanting to first pick at any
Sure.
point.
Yeah, Area Auxiliary is a very good card. I don't necessarily like taking it early.
Yeah. Well,
Like
Past Me disagrees. Past Me went
pass
all
you
for it. We skipped the Witch Enchanter and just went in on the Area Auxiliary.
past you and me can argue later. But
Yeah. Current me wants that Witch Enchanter.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The fact that it can, pseudo fill a land slot while also being like a relevant play. There's a lot of random artifacts and enchantments
Enchantments. Yeah, yeah,
that we can blow up and be pretty happy about.
yeah.
And some powerhouse ones too. If somebody leaves a Chthonian Nightmare hanging, any of the static prison type cards,
Glasswing lace
yup,
or glasswing
any of
whatever
the
it's called.
equipment coming out of the Rakdos deck, or the creatures for that matter.
Yep. Yep.
Suddenly, Witch Enchanter just turns into Flame Tongue Kavu.
Yeah. Which is fantastic.
Yeah. So there's quite a bit. I really like Witch Enchanter. I'll have a chat with Past Me and square that up.
Yeah, I'll also have a chat with past you and figure out where he was at.
All right. So this pack we took Conduit Goblin as our pick number 2. Conduit Goblin, very good
Very,
2-drop,
very
one
good.
of the best 2-drops in the set.
Yeah.
But here we see another one of the best 2-drops in the set in the Marionette Apprentice.
Marionette Apprentice.
And while I said that I was maybe potentially avoiding the black cards when I passed the Breather last,
Uh-huh.
like pick 3 Marionette Apprentice over kinda nothing here.
Yeah, there isn't a whole lot here. We're not really it's like settled into the energy deck for the is that Generatarium
Right.
or whatever, and there wasn't anything else.
Yeah.
there.
So here we got like 2 good green cards, but we haven't touched a green card yet. So
Nope.
with the Annoyed Altasaur and the Wumpus. We had Spawn Gang Commander, which is what we took.
Yep.
And then down on the side there was a Dog Umbra
Dog
as
Umbra,
well, which was certainly worth considering.
Yep.
But I do like the Burrows deck. I do like Spawn Gang Commander.
one of the best cards
4
in that.
bodies.
Yeah.
Plus the ability to just close out the game by itself.
Yeah.
So here we have another Breathe Your Last. We have a Pyretic Rebirth. Leading on the Area Auxiliary, taking the Conduit Goblin, and then seeing Marionette Apprentice into Spawn Gang. Like, I could go towards red-black at this point. We could still be playing white-red, and just cut the Marionette Apprentice.
Sure.
We've got some options still. It's still early in the draft. I do really like Pyretic Rebirth here. I just think that card is good. Also, if I wind up in the Burrows deck, we can just splash the Pyretic Rebirth
Yeah.
potentially. So, depends what we see. Here we see a Static Prison. That card's great.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Give me
since we
the 1
haven't-
mana Oblivion Ring,
And
please.
since we haven't touched the green card, the Malevolent Rumble looks
Correct.
kind of iffy there.
Yeah.
So Static Prison is a very good choice there, I think.
So we've got Lethal Throwdown, Monumental Henge, and the Landscape, I think, is the Grixis one, so not really what we're looking for.
Yep.
We have the Marionette Apprentice, we have the Pyretic Ritual, or Rebirth, excuse me. So, like, the Lethal Throwdown is fine. It's not the best, it's fine.
Yeah.
Monumental Henge, similarly, like, it goes into the land slot, so it's almost free in the deck,
Yeah.
but boy, does it not do anything.
It's just a plains.
Yeah. So we just took the Seething Landscape here. We just took the red-black dual land, basically.
Yeah.
So
Because at this point, you can still play red black,
Yeah, we can
and
play red black. We can be white
it
black splashing. We can be white red
yeah.
splashing.
So
Like
it finds two of your colors.
exactly.
So
We know that we are some combination of Mardu, or at
right,
least that's where we're leaning.
right, yeah.
You know.
The Inventor's Act's very bad,
Yeah, but
even in the energy
Solstice
stack.
Zealot is fine.
Yeah,
I don't love a second one, but like it's either that or a Fetid Gargantua. Yeah, I think I'd rather have 1/1 than a bunch of Solstice Zealots.
yeah,
Though having more Gargantua is not really what we're looking for. Wing It, I think, is pretty schmedium.
yeah. Wingate is pretty medium.
The Obstinate Gargoyle coming all the way around the table, very nice.
Yeah,
Especially if we are going to ultimately wind up settling into the Orzhov shell. Maybe we didn't take that first lethal throwdown, but maybe we find another one,
another one.
Eviscerator's Insight, being able to give it +1/+1 counters after the fact. All right.
There's an Aphiomancer,
So
which
we
is
kind of cleaned up the last pack one, just, the garbage time picks. A couple of them were playable, which is nice. Titan's Vanguard, which is absolutely not in our colors. The Gargoyles here, obviously, we're just kind of like looking to see what might wheel, because the two black rares, we're going to choose between those two.
yeah, absolutely. Only problem I have with this pack is passing so many powerful Eldrazi cards here. Like
Yeah,
the
but we're not
Drowner,
in
the
it.
Titans. Yeah, we're not in it. So, but like giving like your next couple opponents like their choice of like
Yeah,
Path of
but
Annihilation. And
But remember, this is arena draft, and you don't play your pod, right?
that's
So,
true.
like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
one thing, yeah. A Theomancer, I think, is the pick here. The card just goes so nuts.
Yep.
Wither and Bloom, I think, is where we live here.
Yep.
And at this point now, we're solidified kind of into definitely black.
Yep.
And now we need to, yeah. And you see me kind of moving
Kinda
the red
the-
cards.
yep.
We've seen more white cards coming around the tables. That said, we have this Galvanic Discharge kind of staring at us. But this pick, Refurbished Familiar, I'm a big fan of the Pigeon. Galvanic Discharge and Accursed Marauder are all absolutely playable cards.
Yep.
Like, we're reasonably happy to play kind of any of these.
Any of these. Yep.
I like... For black-white, I think I like the Accursed Marauder now, like at this point in drafting. But I really do like the Refurbished Familiar. Here we have a Condor or a Familiar. I'm taking the Familiar over the Condor, personally.
Yeah, the Condor, if you don't have a whole lot of artifact synergies, the Condor just sits as a 3/3 flyer, which is not
Which is
bad.
fine. It's a 4-mana 3/3 flyer
Right.
that sometimes has some upside.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to play the Refurbished Familiar 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Also, the Condor's mana is harder. The double
Double black. Yep.
Refurbished Familiar, even if you just curve Marionette Apprentice, fabricate, make a token, you get to play the Pigeon on turn 3 because of the artifact that you made.
Yep, Condor is always going to be a 4-mana 3/3.
Yes.
And then if you don't have any of the cheap artifacts like Mandibular Kite or anything like
Right.
that, it doesn't really give you an upside.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I like the choice of the Refurbished Familiar there.
yeah. I'm inclined to agree. And if Static Prison is an enchantment, right?
Enchant, yeah.
Okay. One of the cool little things about this deck that's just like not a standout thing, but just a cute little truth. The Angel of Ruins is not a card that I generally include in my decks.
Yeah.
But because we have this Pyretic Rebirth that we are potentially looking to splash, being able to land cycle the Angel and then rebuy it to hit something for 7,
7, yeah.
and have this large thing that we
Yeah.
can replay
Yeah.
is certainly worth knowing.
Absolutely. I've seen a lot of like Eldrazi decks even do the same thing because they have 3 or so big Eldrazi cards that just cycle and put themselves in the graveyard,
Sure.
and then they just Pyretic Rebirth a gigantic thing back later
Absolutely.
on, like or at the end of turn when you go into combat,
Yeah.
and you get blown out by the fact that they had a Pyretic Ritual.
Just dome that thing for 7.
Yeah.
Here's my blocks. Okay.
Yeah, sure. All right.
All right, so right now what we're kind of looking for is some fixing. Like, in a perfect world, we find a little bit more by way of fixing. We've seen 2 polluted deltas. We see this Windswept Heath.
Windswept Heath.
Unfortunately, none of the true fetches have been on color for us.
Yeah.
But this is another landscape that is getting past, but it was red-white. So...
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that card. What do you
The
think about
Sentry,
the Scurrier Sentry?
I think it's bad, but I'm really happy that we wield a Static Prison and a Thraben Charm. We also have the Strength of the Harvest, which is fine.
Yeah,
We can certainly play it. I think I like the removal spell here,
yeah,
but I kind of like last minute changed my mind and took the Strength.
sure.
Just being a modal dual face land, my playable count is already looking pretty high.
Hmm.
So just finding cards that slot into the land section rather
Yep.
than that.
And then obstinate Gargoyle can actually wear that Strength of the
Oh,
Harvest
it
pretty
sure
well
can.
later in the game
And then
too.
flies, yeah, absolutely. So here's a white red um,
Yeah,
landscape.
yeah.
I do think that I should have that static prison though. Like at the end of the day,
Yeah, I think going back, I think the Static
yeah.
Prison, yeah.
We wield the accursed marauder,
Hmm.
so the decision between marauder and pigeon wound up ultimately not mattering because
Not
we got
mattering.
both of them, so that's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
This is only one of our colors, so we're just gonna, yeah, grab the uncommon because vault progress or whatever. Here's an abstruse appropriation. Hey, look, we're playing black
Black
white, and
White.
we opened the cool black white rare. This pack is fine. Consuming corruption is playable. What is it? Ambush.
Ambush.
Ambush is very good, and the inspired inventor is also fine. We're not above playing the Dross Claw, but it's not what we want to be playing
No,
either.
no. Also notable in the pack was a Devourer.
Yes, but we're nowhere close
Nowhere
to trying to
close.
cast that
Yeah,
card, so
nowhere
that
close.
that card can pass all the way around the table for all I care. Yeah, this pack not
Very,
great.
yeah,
There's a
very,
victimize, which is fine.
yep,
There's this solar transformer, which is not really what I'm looking to pick up.
yep.
And there's the skittering precursor, which I think is a pretty good Magic the Gathering card.
Hmm.
The ability to make extra tokens by cracking your landscapes or doing kind of a bunch of other stuff. Pretty cool. There's a Chthonian
Custodian
Nightmare,
Nightmare.
which is very exciting.
Yeah,
We have Gargoyle, we have Ophiomancer, we have the Marionette Apprentice.
yep,
Like, there's
yep.
several ways for this deck to just kind of go kind of hard
Yeah.
with Chthonian Nightmare. So this is a real cool pickup that we're super happy about.
It is definitely a card that's really hard to play like correctly. That I've is what I've heard. Because it is a very hard card to kind of like figure out. What card am I bringing back from the graveyard? What does it do for me when it
Yeah,
comes into play?
yeah. So like, it's not necessarily that it's hard. It's that it's one of these like the biggest knock on like is it decks is you're just sitting there spinning your wheels. You're not actually advancing anything.
Yeah.
Chthonian Nightmare feels very similar to that. Like even if you're getting ETB triggers off of the creatures that you're bringing back,
Mm,
you're you're realistically just kind of like not actually advancing your board, right? Because
right.
you're sacrificing a creature to get a creature.
Hmm.
So it depending on what kind of ETBs you're getting, it's only a little bit doing something. I will tell you, we took that pick one area auxiliary over the Witch Enchanter.
Yeah.
Flipping Witch Enchanters with Chthonian Nightmare is unbeatable sometimes. Like you actually just win the game on the spot.
Yeah.
But then again, area auxiliary is also going to be a good one to be able to flip with the. Speaking of Witch Enchanter, is
Mm,
also a good one. The area auxiliary also a good one to flip with Chthonian Nightmare.
yes.
If past me doesn't take this Witch Enchanter, I'm never going to forgive myself.
And we have
Okay.
also
All
learned
right.
from
Okay. We did it.
the last the draft that you commentated with Lewis that indebted spirit is not a good magic
It's
card.
never been a good Magic card. That wasn't a learning experience. That was just like I needed another card in my deck.
Yeah, yeah. And when you drew it, you were highly disappointed
Yeah,
that you
that
drew
card
that card.
card's just bad. So we wound up with an Ondu Knotmaster, which is nice. A pick six. Nobody
Six.
else is in Orzhov,
Yeah.
which makes sense. Again, Orzhov is not one of the better color combinations in this format. It's when you get the deck to come together, the deck can do some stuff. Like
Yeah, it can do some very powerful things. Yeah.
our curve is good. We have the ability to grind pretty late. Like I'm pretty happy with how our deck looks right now. The question is do I want another removal spell or do I want another 2-drop? And yeah, I take the 2-drop here with the vampire. Here we get an inventor. We're like this consuming corruption. we're two color, potentially three color.
Hmm.
Um, I think I moved the Pyretic Rebirth into the sideboard for the moment, but now we're also wheeling the Skittering Precursor. Um, yeah, here's another landscape that can help with red fixing. Buried Alive doesn't do anything.
Nope.
This Enforcer also doesn't do anything, and I wish I had just taken the landscape. Charitable Levy is unplayable.
Card is, yep.
Siege Smash is whatever. Yeah, all right. We took the landscape that time at least. So we should have three or four
Hmm.
landscapes that will fetch for red
Hmm.
while being on color with either white or black. I don't think we got any of the Mardu one, but that's
No,
okay.
yeah.
Assuming we wind up playing Mardu. So yeah, according to Draftsmith, Mardu is the better deck, statistic wise. And for those unfamiliar with Draftsmith and Untapped, this is an add-on. This is why you saw the various number
Yep.
ratings on the cards.
Yep.
And we've talked about this a bunch of times. Use this tool because it will help you learn to evaluate the cards for yourself, but do not treat it as the end all be all. Do not just assume that whatever it tells you is, in fact, the best things you can be doing.
Yep.
As you can see, it might have identified Mardu as the highest statistical deck that I should be playing, but it thinks that the Conduit Goblin and the Spawn Gang Commander are going to be good in my Orzhov deck splashing red. And I'll tell you right now that past me and current me both agree that that's a little too hard on the mana. I don't want
Yeah.
a 2-drop that's better in the early game on my splash, and I
Yeah.
don't want a double red card on a splash.
Yeah.
As powerful as Spawn Gang Commander is, like this makes my mana way worse.
Yeah. Because you're
So
because you're primarily a black white deck, and having to have
correct.
red white by turn two,
Yeah, it's just
and then having to have double red by turn five,
yeah.
this just seems like a very tough stretch.
Yeah, I agree. Now that said, we do have four landscapes,
Hmm.
and the Accursed Marauder with the ability to rebuy the Accursed Marauder with Chthonian Nightmare,
Nightmare. Yeah.
or just rebuy anything with Chthonian Nightmare. Chthonian Nightmare requiring a sacrifice.
Hmm.
I do like this Skittering Precursor in this deck. I
Hmm.
do think it's worth splashing
Yeah.
because you don't have to cast it on 3 for
No.
it to be worthwhile. And with multiple landscapes plus Nightmare plus Marauder, I think that we have kind of like, let's call it the minimum amount of enough hits
Yeah.
to make it a worthwhile splash.
Yeah. I like that.
Also, like, what are we playing if we're not playing the Precursor? We're playing like an extra fetid Gargantua or a Sentry, and I don't really necessarily need
Don't
either
really
of
care
those.
for either one of those cards. And you're right. The skittering precursor, it's fine to just play on 3. It's also fine to play on like 6. And you
And
have a
then
bunch of
just
things.
yeah. Now, I will say that like I promise you, this Spawn Gang is going to come out of the deck. But yeah, there it went. We made our
You
decision.
got it.
I do like the Gargantua, the first Gargantua over the Sentry.
Yep.
That is certainly my opinion here.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, we so if you didn't see what we did here, Draftsmith has what it thinks our mana should be, and that's 3-5-3 with the landscapes plus the modal dual faced cards. And we went up to see what Arena would suggest based on the build that we had. And it was much lower on the mountains, which I very much agree with. I would like more white sources in this deck. We Most of our early plays are black, which is great. It makes our mana a little bit easier. But I don't think that I need more than one mountain in the
Hmm.
deck for the 2 red cards when we also have the 4 landscapes that can go find it. So this
Yeah.
gives me what is functionally 5 red sources,
Yep.
and I think that's plenty for 2 red cards.
I am inclined to agree with you
Yeah.
here.
I do want a little bit extra by way of white sources in this case. So we're up to 4, and I'm not sure if 1 or 2. I think it's just one of the landscapes can find white. But we also have
Yeah, just that one. Yeah.
both of our dual faced cards are white lands.
Okay. Yep.
So that puts us 4, 5, 6, 7 white sources. So as long as we have double-digit black sources, which we do,
Yep.
and then, or right around, I think we might have 9. But anyway, Natural Tron, we have all
Natural
3 of our
Tron.
colors. And we get to go artifact into 2-drop into refurbished familiar. So like life is good. This
Life
is
is,
this
yeah.
is what we want to be doing. We want to be curving out. We kept an opening hand that had all of our colors.
Yep.
So this is what we're going to want to do, most games. And now depending on what our opponent does, we have the choice to either put the pigeon into play and make them discard or kill off their 2-drop and get some damage in. If they're going to do nothing, we want to play the refurbished familiar now before any tricks that maybe kill the Pteramander and make it so that we can't play it.
Yep.
And then get in after the discard. So, attack for 3, gain 2, make them discard. The Boros deck with no plays on turns 1 or 2 is probably good for me.
Yeah.
Making energy means they have no blocks this turn if I don't want them to have blocks.
That's true.
Unfortunately, we only have the 1 black source, so if we're doing this, we're not actually doing anything else this turn, which is a little unfortunate. We do have the Thraben Charm up, so we can deal 6 damage to something, depending on what our opponent plays. Yeah, so they do nothing, which makes me, I think, just want to... I kind of just want to attack with the flyers and commit and get more on the board. I can just play the Obstinate Gargoyle and just get in damage with the flyers.
Yep.
Or we can just attack with everything and offer the trade. Yeah, I like this. Just attack with the flyers.
The guaranteed damage, yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't play the Gargoyle, which means we're going to kill stuff this turn.
Yeah.
Like, if we're not playing more, then we're just going to kill things.
Yeah.
I suppose one thing worth considering is opponent hasn't really committed anything to the board.
Nope.
So playing around Wrath of the Skies by not committing more to the board also makes an amount of sense.
I was like, "Whoa, look at you, lucky! Your first round opponent decided to play Boros Control. There's a Wrath,
and there's
of the Skies.
Wrath. So yeah, they made no plays. They let me commit a bunch, and that's fine. But now I look, kind of smart for not playing the Gargoyle, even though current me said that they wanted to play the Gargoyle. So current me would have gotten hit by that Wrath of the Skies. That said, the Gargoyle would have come back. It just would have been a 1/1.
Yep.
We can reset it with the Wither and Bloom, but regardless, there's a Slith. No real reason to kill it right now. Still only having the 1 black source is a little annoying. We are going to need to rectify that soon, but now that we have the Seething Landscape, that becomes easier to do. So yeah, Wither and Bloom, clear this thing. Just let's get in for damage. Our opponent is at 7. We just want to be closing out this game.
Yep.
We have Thraben Charm up. We can crack both of our landscapes just to thin out our deck for lands. We certainly don't need any more lands. We are well
good.
and truly done on lands.
Yep, you are totally good.
Yep, there's a thing.
Yeah,
we can also Thraben Charm their card. So,
their card.
Yeah. So, fetch a land. I think we're saving the other landscape explicitly for the fact that we have the precursor in our deck. So we're just not cracking it so that we have something to sacrifice if we draw the precursor. But I don't know. I think thinning here would have been better, but it's kind of, it doesn't matter. That card kind of sucks, given that we made our thing. We made our thing 3 power, so our opponent is not dead now. Notably, Abstruse Appropriation says just non-land permanent. So they get to exile our thing. We can also just destroy target enchantment here with the Thraben Charm. We can use Thraben Charm to kill the Nyxborn Unicorn. Yeah, I don't care about the Unicorn. We're at 23. They can attack. They're not attacking for fear of haste creatures. I think, yeah, I'm just taking this Ajani. It denies them a creature.
Yeah.
They don't have anything to hit with the first chapter at the moment. But I don't think that matters. Yeah, just make a guy. They're at 2. Just make a guy, me. All right. They're at 2. We just want to commit more to the board.
Right.
All right. So they have the energy here, so they get to just kind of play this and kill both of my things.
Replicate and kill both
That
these.
said, that means they had to use all their energy. So
Yeah.
their stockpile of energy, just because we made a 1/1 with our inventor. So again, we're going to hold on to this 3-man charm. There's no reason to kill this Nyxborn unicorn. We don't need creatures in play to kill the Nyxborn unicorn because one of the modes is destroy an enchantment.
Yep.
If they ever actually grow the thing, we have their Ajani Fells the Godsire sitting over here to be able to clear anything large that they play. We've drawn far too many lands, but we're not in danger of dying, and there's no real reason not to just be patient, I think.
Yeah.
They do have 3 cards in hand, which is a little unfortunate. There's a Felia. That thing probably should die. The good news is they're going to attack with it. They're going to flicker their own unicorn, and then it's going to be big enough to kill with the Ajani Fells the Godsire. So there's that. We can also... This is a big hit that they chose not to activate. We're going to kill that in response. The problem here is now the Felia doesn't grow because they're not actually flickering a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But good setup by opponent to try to get the flicker. Ophiomancer is a fantastic draw.
Yeah, it was a really good draw.
This is going to make a Death Touch Snake that makes the Felia attack kind of miserable.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to blink the snake with the Felia, we can still just trade with the Ophiomancer. We did have to use our Thraben Charm, so we are down to just the Ajani Fells the Godsire as our removal, and we continue to draw lands. So this is a little frustrating. The cool thing, we get to attack with the snake. Like, our opponent is at 2.
Yeah.
It is very difficult for them to just let this snake hit them, which means we just get to trade off with the thing and remake the snake.
Remake the snake, yep.
Opponent could have just taken the 1 there, but that means now they're forced to block every turn for the rest of the game. All right, so they know that we have their Ajani Fells the Godsire here.
Mm-hmm.
So they know this is an oops, I think. Mentor, but then they accidentally flicker it.
Oh no, opponent.
Yeah. So we're gonna block this unicorn. We would have just taken 6 here. We would have let the token through. But the Felia is going to die to this Ajani Fells. Yeah. And I think a combination of knowing that their Felia is about to die plus the mistake on the token, just opponent's off it.
Yeah, he was not having it. Yeah.
So
that happened in one of our draft games here. I forgot that one of the rolls gave Ward 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm like, yep, I'm off it. That's fine in game 3.
Fair enough. So here we go. Game number 2. Playing
Knight?
against... I have no idea. I don't know. I think I know his, Twitter handle is Reliquary...
Reliquary Knight or something like that.
Tower, right?
Or Tower, or Knight, or yeah.
Anyway, if this is Riley Knight and you come across this tiny-ass YouTube channel, say hi. This was, the week before the Pro Tour, so there's a non-zero chance he was doing some prep for the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I could not find any kind of confirmation. There was no stream or anything, so...
I mean, if you do, bring that gorgeous accent with you, too.
In any case, here we go. Opponent on the play has a Retrofitter Transmigrant. This is very likely to be red-black if we're leading on Transmigrant. Our hand was not perfect. We were missing white sources.
Yeah.
But we had already mulliganed, and the double landscape plus the black source, we're kind of relying on drawing the planes, and we did, in fact, get
naturally
lucky.
Draw the planes, yep.
That said, both of our white cards were 4-drops, or are 4-drops, so it's not like we needed them right off the bat.
Right.
So here's a Marionette Apprentice. We're going to fabricate and make a token, because the +1/+1 counter doesn't matter. Opponent appears to want to murder our thing without me. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it. It's dead. Anyway, we're definitely making a token.
Yeah.
In fact, it didn't give me an option. Recruiter of the Guard,
Recruiter of the
cool.
Guard. Okay.
Uh, I will say that I have no interest in trading my 1/1 for their 1/1 that comes back. That Ocelot Pride might be a problem.
Oh,
Um,
Recruiter into Ocelot seems really
yeah,
good.
I'm just gonna or flip this abstruse appropriation backwards and forwards a couple times,
Yeah.
and I'm telling you right now, that's my Ocelot Pride.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
So we play the familiar, make them discard. Again, we're not really worried about 1/1s attacking us. We're
Nope.
happy to just
Yeah,
kind of let this happen.
sure.
Opponent, yes, play the
Yes,
Ocelot
yeah, play
Pride.
Ocelot Pride. Yeah.
Here's a second Dream Drinker Vampire. They did discard one to the refurbished familiar,
Yep.
and yeah, no, like this is good cards coming out of opponent. Ocelot Pride is obviously a house, and like I said, it's mine.
Yeah, give it. Give
That
it
card
here.
is mine.
Give it here. I will love to have that card, please.
Yep, we will attack for 2 in the air. I don't have any good blocks here. I didn't want to double block the vampire that they give menace to anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
So we're just gonna kind of let that happen. We can trade off the servo for the recruiter of the guard if we want to. I don't think it's particularly relevant. We can no longer trade off the servo.
Nope.
Um, but yeah, so now we're kind of priced into leaving back the familiar next turn. We are taking 6 damage here, which is more than I intended to take this turn. But we can go Ocelot Pride plus Inspired Inventor.
Okay.
Thanks to being able to cast the Ocelot Pride for colorless mana
Yeah.
because of the abstruse appropriation, leaving our white mana up for the Inspired Inventor.
Have you seen that card Spike?
Ocelot
Ocelot
Pride?
Pride.
What's it at?
Like 50.
Oh,
Yeah, because everyone's expecting the Nadu ban to happen.
sure.
And when Nadu gets banned, everyone's, I guess, moving over to Boros Energy.
Ocelot Pride is very good.
Yeah, I should have bought one when they were 21.
I-
Now they're like 50.
I did buy a retro foil one for my wife's commander deck.
Yeah, that one's like 65 now.
I bought it for about 28.
Yeah, that card's like $65 now.
All right, so we're vibing. Is what
Yeah,
you're telling me.
absolutely. Now I'm
Okay,
sad.
so real question: do we want to fabricate, make a token, or
Uh-huh.
do we just want to put a +1/+1 counter on Ocelot Pride or the Flyer? I kind of. So by putting the counter on the refurbished familiar, it means we have a clean just trade with the vampire here,
Yep.
right? They attack. They have their mentor trigger. We can trade off the inventor plus the servo for the 3/3 and our 3/2 for the 4/3. Unclear why I'm double blocking here. It does not have menace right now.
It does not.
Unless I, for whatever reason, thought it had menace. Oh, no, because they can activate it. It just has the unicorn. They haven't actually ever
Yeah,
activated
so they can put an extra counter
Yes.
on it.
All right, never mind.
Yeah.
That's why we're double blocking. So that them putting the counter on it
Doesn't
just,
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just changes the amount of life they gain, but it doesn't matter. They're gonna lose their character.
Yeah, I don't care
anyway.
about any of that. Like their life total does not matter.
No.
We're in grind mode. That's all we care about. This card blows up that Nyxborn unicorn if we want it to.
Sure does.
We can also area auxiliary to put some counters on some stuff.
Sneaky good card there, Area Auxiliary.
Yeah, I think the problem is they've got their recruiter of the guard up to being
A 4/4.
a 4/4, and that's a little tough for us. So we're counters everywhere. We can play the Witch Enchanter as a land here, but I don't think we need the extra land. Yeah, we know that they have targets because they have both the unicorn and the retrofitter transmigrant.
Yep.
The Ocelot Pride now having 2 power means the transmigrant is just kind of stuck. Opponent is top decking, so as long as we can keep up with their board, our hand is reasonably powerful.
Yep.
I like this attack by opponent, just in for 4. I have no good blocks without double blocking,
Yeah.
and I don't want to play into a potential removal spell by double blocking and getting blown out. So I do like that attack from opponent. So the unicorn didn't attack.
No.
And if it didn't attack, then it's probably not going to attack.
Sure.
We do only have the 1 black source still, which is a little awkward. We have not had a chance to crack this landscape.
Yeah.
We've used it every turn.
Every turn.
So
And then playing their Curse Marauder here is really bad.
they just sacrifice the transfer
Transmigrant.
grant. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I like which. Yeah,
Yeah, I like this play. The
'Cause
shorter unicorn.
we're stuck with 1 play no matter what. So whenever I'm stuck in a board state where I'm only going to be able to make one play,
Mm.
making the play that uses the most amount of mana opens up the ability to top deck a land. Like I can top deck a
Yeah.
swamp and double spell now,
Yeah.
right? We didn't, but by making the play that uses all of our mana, it opens up extra options on future turns.
Hmm.
So, we are at mostly a stalemate as far as the board is concerned.
Right.
They can't realistically attack without trading off. Like at this point, they're 4/4. I double block with a 3/3 and a 2/2, and that's not good for my opponent.
No.
The retrofitter transmigrant just exists in this world, and
Just
like
exists.
it's not doing anything. It just kind of is. So, and obviously the 3/3s in the air are staring at each other. So
So did you are you envisioning like cracking the landscape here to get a second black source here?
yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. So we play out the vampire, which then also opens us up to being able to activate the vampire and play a 2-drop next turn. Finding the retro or refurbished familiar off the knight was a little awkward, but this Pteramander is about to bite it, I think. We could also, yeah, the Marauder is only going to trade with a Transmigrant.
Transparent.
So yeah, the Pteramander at least trades with the familiar, or potentially, grows depending on how the game plays out. So right now it would cost the full amount. I don't think I have any artifacts in play. Yeah, they're all dead.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but remember, we are a Chthonian Nightmare deck. Like that is a thing that we have.
That's true.
All right.
And Wither and Bloom is a very good draw here.
Yeah. So what this draw lets me do, I think, is put 2 counters on the Ocelot Pride. Yeah. And then just attack with the Pride.
Yep.
If our opponent tries to double block, we get to win the combat with the Wither and Bloom. And we get to trigger the life gain, the end step. Like, the only way opponent doesn't lose to a combat trick is by throwing literally everything in front of this thing.
Yep.
And if they do that, then we get to trade off with a couple of their creatures and just be okay with that. It's, yeah. But yeah, so here we go. The cat triggered once, we got 2 tokens off of it, and that's all it takes for Ocelot Pride to be good, right?
That card is a board in a box.
It is.
That card's so good.
Yeah, imagine if opponent had it.
That's true, yeah. Oh, abstruse, whatever.
Yeah, abstruse appropriation.
Appropriation. That card is, yeah.
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 Yep. Like, and I'm not even mad at that, right? Like, the reason they tutored for the Ocelot Pride is because it has the ability to just win the game by itself once you get to a state where it can be attacking.
Yep.
Their deck was much better suited to be gaining life than mine. But even from this board state, we could have, after this turn, started attacking with our Vampire. Because now that we had the Wither and Bloom, and that'll also be able to trigger the lifelink while also clearing anything that was trying to beat the Vampire to just start growing more tokens.
Which is disgusting.
So yeah, opponent was at 26 life, but so far behind on board, even though they had the biggest creature in play.
Yeah, they're like, we can't.
Yeah, they're not breaking
no cards
through,
in hand.
Yeah, they're
like,
not breaking through the board. The Ocelot Pride is going to get out of control quickly.
Yeah.
So I respect the scoop there. So here we go. We've got Perilous Landscape to find our red source, so we have all of our colors lined up.
Yep.
We just get to play Swamp on turn 2 and have Wither and Bloom available.
Hey, look, MVP from last game.
Oh, the Abstruse Appropriation? Yeah. Yeah. So, opponent looking at us seeing the Mountain Swamp, just, here's this red-black deck, sure, no worries.
Yeah, no worries.
So, yeah, Gargoyle. They can Aether Spike it, like, whatever, that's fine. We'd prefer it resolves, but whatever we cast, if they had Aether Spike, was going to die. I would like to kill this Shadow Spinner
before it starts getting
before
stupid.
It does anything.
Yeah.
Even it, like... The question is do I want it? And I don't think I do, right? Like, this is less mana efficient. And we did talk about this, right? But what I can do is either make my guy a flyer or just play this Dross Claw and commit a little bit more to the board. So I like just getting another creature down. I sort of have 2 grizzly bears in play now.
Yeah. Pseudo. Yeah. Because
Yeah,
you're. Yeah. Okay.
sure. So the second one is a little annoying,
Does the
but
second one
you
make you
know,
want it?
yeah. Well, the second one, it's not that I want it; it's that I don't want them to be looting.
Yeah, that's true
You
too.
know.
Yeah.
Also, by getting rid of it, like, yeah, we can't cast it. If we ever do get to cast it, cool. But yeah, opponent apparently on 3 colors, so it's a good thing we weren't letting them loot because they had to
Hmm.
find that third color.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Reform is a problem.
That card is very annoying.
I would like to fly over the reform, please. So notably, this is the same amount of damage. We also found a colorless source, which means we get to cast the Shadow Spinner,
Mhm.
since we have black mana of our own. Yeah.
Yeah, same amount of damage, but you don't attack right into the reform to make them have a 3/3.
No.
So
No.
I actually like the equip.
Yeah. Fanged Flame's very good answer to the Baloth. That said, we're just going to equip the Shadow Spinner here.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna make kind of the same play, but now fly over and loot for 3.
Yeah.
So Smart is not playing this swamp, so that we can discard it to the Shadow Spinner.
Yep.
Unfortunately, yeah, we can't fly. So like,
Oh right. Yeah, it's not a Manduber kite
yeah,
where it
no,
gives a
we
flying.
did
It's
not.
just a
We unfortunately did not get a kite in this draft, but this theoretically finds us some more cards. I should not have played the swamp. And I just mentioned that a second ago. This Terramander flies, so I kind of want it.
yep.
This Witch Enchanter doesn't matter. Yeah, the Precursor doesn't matter right now.
Right.
And then it's whether I want the Terramander or the Refurbished Familiar. And yeah, I think I'd rather just have the Terramander. They're going to block. That's fine. We gain 3. They get a 3/3. We get to play a bird.
Yay,
They
pigeon.
discard a card.
Yay, pigeon.
Yeah. And then we can move the Dross Claw over to that, and then we're in for 4 a turn in the air again.
Mm.
Opponent down to 9 at the moment. Discarding a Sentry. We also have a +1/+1 counter from the Wither and Bloom in our graveyard
Mm-hmm.
that we can use. And we do have our red mana available. The Shadow Spinner is allowing us to discard cards, which means this Pyretic Rebirth is going to be able to find kind of whatever we want,
Yep.
which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Tap the filer.
So they get their Shadow Spinner back here. They choose not to do
Okay.
that. I suppose because they can just block on the ground and they can't block in the air.
Yeah.
Their life total is low. That said, that means we get to make them discard an extra card. I don't think we're attacking with the Shadow Spinner this time,
Yeah, that makes sense.
but perfectly content. And there's another Shadow Spinner. So opponent,
Jesus.
and at least now we know why they didn't bother getting it back to their hand, right?
Yeah,
If they really want one, they have it.
they have it. Yeah.
I guess. So yeah, like nothing in the graveyard that we really want back here. Nowhere to put a +1/+1 counter that matters right now.
Right now, yeah.
I don't think there's a reason to play a land. Like I said, if we do ever attack with that Shadow Spinner, having the extra land back makes some sense. So.
Yeah, let's not let them have a 6/6.
Right. At least not right this minute.
Yeah.
So looking at the deck list, that Fanged Flames is, yup, certainly worse for me with the Pyretic Rebirth in hand,
Yeah.
but is what it is. Glad I didn't put a +1/+1 counter on it. Waste of a Wither and Bloom at that point. Opponent can't really attack here. Like, we just block and gain life. Yep, crack the landscape, thin our deck again. We're down to the last couple lands that we can fetch anyway. And carry on. We need a top deck. Hey, look, another
Hey, look.
pigeon.
Hey, look.
Yeah, like I love this card. I think this card is fantastic. Like, opponent has. We've made them discard 3 cards.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to persist.
Okay.
What were they holding the persist for, I wonder? Like, what did they... They have Shadow Spinner in their graveyard. They have a Sentry in their graveyard that could have gotten them digging deeper.
Yeah.
They have the Reform in their graveyard
Yeah.
that they could have persisted. It dies immediately to the -1/-1 counter and turns into a 3/3 again.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't they persist last turn? Breathe Your Last kills my pigeon.
Yep.
I probably want to rebuy the pigeon. Just saying. Like, opponent is at 10. We really, like, our best shot at closing out this game is getting in the air.
Yeah.
So I do kind of want to kill this pigeon. We don't have good attacks on the ground.
Nope.
Spending 2 mana to equip the Draw's Claw doesn't really accomplish much of anything.
Nope.
So we can Pyretic Rebirth, just deal 4 damage to the 3/5 because we're not trying to turn that worm into a 6/6.
Right.
I'm not sure why I did this first. Like, having a 3/3 doesn't really matter. Having a 4/4 also doesn't really matter. We're gonna... Yeah. I don't like this. I think... So what I think I should have done there is just... I'm gonna sacrifice the Shadow Spinner. It doesn't matter. The Shadow Spinner doesn't do anything. At least the 3/3 can get bigger and potentially trade with the Depth Defiler.
Right.
We're gonna Pyretic to get back the pigeon.
Pigeon.
Like I said, we're just gonna deal the damage to the 3/5. We're not trying to kill the worm here. They have 1 card in hand, which is going to be 0 cards in hand. And that's a Kappa Cannoneer. And then now we have this Strength plus Draw's Claw plus Wither and Bloom. Like, the goal here is to get it so that this this Refurbished Familiar can finish out the game. That's the goal here.
Yep.
So I remember this game now. Like, I'm seeing everything that happens, and you're about to watch me tilt off the planet. So opponent just discarded Kappa Cannoneer and rips Toxic Deluge off the top while top decking, right? So my board is clear now. I already used my Pyretic Rebirth. Hang on. It gets better. In for 9. Yeah, that happens. Hold on. Hold my beer. Hold up. Opponent is digging through their graveyard. That's weird. What could they be doing? Oh, they ripped Victimize right off the back.
No.
So they get to sacrifice their 6/6 to turn it into a 9/9 while regrowing the Kappa Cannoneer and the Reform for value. So we just made our opponent empty-handed and are watching all of this happen. Yeah, I am like I remember my mindset during this game, and I'm like, opponent just ripped kill spell, Toxic Deluge to clear the board, into Victimize to make it so that I almost can't win this game, and I am just fuming.
Yeah. Because I will also be like, really, like, he had no cards in hand.
Yeah, nothing.
3 turns ago.
Yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. This is me, like, I remember being upset when this happened. Right now I'm laughing about it, right? Like, you got to keep in mind that you're going to top deck good cards sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what that also means? Your opponent's going to top deck good cards sometimes.
That's true.
And even if it sucks in the moment to know that your opponent has no outs, I wish my opponent had just attacked with a 9/9. I also like this attack. Please make this... They fixed it. So this is a forced trade now with the Kappa Cannoneer, whereas if they attack with the 3/5, we get to block the 3/5 and eat it.
Yeah.
And that's free. And then we can grow our guy with the Wither and Bloom, meaning that we can survive another attack next turn by blocking the Kappa Cannoneer. Then they top decked a Tutor.
Grim Servant.
They only get to find a 1-drop here, but even so. We're well and truly dead. Like, we're top decking. I don't think there's anything in my deck that catches me up to this full board. We can, like, find a kill spell potentially that clears the 9/9, but we take 6 right here. Yeah, we can play this Marionette Apprentice. We can make a 1/1. so that we can chump block that 9/9. We can put the Dross Claw onto the Apprentice, because why wouldn't we? We can make the Apprentice survive the attack from the Depth Defiler.
Yeah.
So, like, here's us not being dead again. An opponent tutored for a land because they could only find a 1-drop or less with their Grim Servant. So, yeah, we're in a spot where we get to chump block the 9/9. We block the Depth Defiler with no repercussions. Our opponent loses a life because our creature dies. We take 3 from the Menace Grim Servant. No, we can't do that. Fix it. Okay. All right. Yeah. The Grim Servant has Menace, and maybe past me didn't realize that for a second, but yeah. Anyway, opponent is at 3.
Yep.
We've got this Apprentice with a Dross Claw. Like, we have ways of ending this game, potentially. But Breathe Your Last is not going to get us the dub right this second.
Nope.
It does, again, make sure that we're not dead. We can Breathe Your Last on the 9/9. We can continue to block the Depth Defiler. We're taking 3. We have 2 more turns to find ways of dealing with all this. So, Breathe Your Last, a pretty good draw, all considered. Yeah, no reason not to attack. Block the 3/5, declare block, kill your 9/9. Alright, so even after all of that tilt, we're still in this game.
Right.
Right. But yeah, past me, like, and there we go. We drew a very relevant card. We now have the ability to double block thanks to the Menace, or thanks to the Snake that we get off the Ophiomancer. We still can't attack, which is tragic. Like, we really need to attack. Like, this Dross Claw finishes the game so quickly, but that Reform is just chilling and making our life miserable.
Yeah, Reform is...
Serum Visionary. So, opponent just continuing to, like, you know, draw gas, right? And that's, again, that's fine. So they get to set it up. Seeing a card go to the top sucks. They have drawn a couple lands in a row, so, like, that's good for me. But I don't think they have great attacks now.
No, I don't think so either.
But
you
like,
have a Death Toucher now, so...
Yeah, the problem is I think I have to take 3 this turn. That's a very good draw.
That's, yeah.
Remember, they kept a card on top. They did evoke, so I don't have to deal with this Null Drifter, which is good. And that's why they kept a card on top. Fanged Flames to clear my thing, which makes... So, where are we at? If they attack with both...
You block the Depth Defiler.
Yeah, we just trade with the Depth Defiler on the Snake. We take 3, go to 2.
And then make a Snake on your upkeep.
Yeah, the problem is that means we're at 2 and the Grim Servant isn't dead yet, so we have to draw something, or the Serum Visionary plus the Grim Servant attacking kills me. Yeah, that's sort of something. That's a big dumb creature I can cast.
Yeah.
Them finding the 3rd Fanged Flames to clear my my guy felt real bad. If we got to suit up a Snake with the Dross Claw, attack, they lose a life, go to 2.
Go to 2.
They have to trade with the Snake, or the Snake kills them, and then they go to 1 because the Marionette Apprentice.
Yep.
Then we make another Snake. Like, yeah. And then they rip Wither and Bloom off the top and cleared my thing, and now I'm dead on board. Like, a very good string of draws.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
there were some lands mixed in, but, like...
But, like, drawing some of your best cards in your deck, like, one after another, like Toxic Deluge into
Victimize, into Kill Spell, yeah.
Yeah, Fang Flames, and then you got the Null Drifter to kind of, like, add insult to injury.
Yeah. So, it is what it is. We're still fine.
Yeah.
You know, that's our first loss so far this draft.
Yeah.
And our deck, like, you saw how well it was able to grind through even all of that.
Yeah.
So we also never drew the Nightmare.
Nope.
We still have very good cards in our deck that we could have drawn at any point that potentially get us right back into the game. Well, you know, almost by themselves. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna keep playing, and we'll see how well the rest of this draft goes. But yeah, that match definitely, my headspace was not right after that series of top decks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and it gets like that in this game because everyone's like, it's a game of variance,
It
and
is.
I get it. But yeah, there are times when you're like, wow, you literally had everything.
Yeah, you just found all the things the whole time. So we're going to run out the Chthonian Nightmare here. We don't have a 2-drop to play at
Right.
the moment. So we're just going to play out the Nightmare and get the energy banked.
Yeah.
Our opponent is showing us green-red, which typically isn't going to clear an enchantment. Like, it's not impossible, but typically they're not going to.
Typically, no.
If opponent had white, then I'm more concerned with something like a Witch Enchanter.
Sure.
Or, Thraben Charm. And then I'm less likely to just run out the Nightmare without getting some value off of it.
Right.
But against, Forest Mountain, we'll just play it out on 2 because that's the plays we've got. Our choice here is, a Cursed Marauder, which just clears the Brood Scale before it gets to adapt.
Yep.
Or we could have played down the Ophiomancer. I kind of like this, if for no other reason, then we get the Accursed Marauder into the graveyard with the Nightmare chillin', and we have this Ophiomancer to start just doing horrible things
Oh yeah.
momentarily.
Oh yeah.
We also have the Obstinate Gargoyle with Persist. So. Yeah, so our opponent, Malevolent Rumble into Glimpse the Unthinkable. They hit land, Rumble. They get their land drop, and that's it.
But it's
So,
2 spawns.
It is 2 more spawns, depending on what our opponent is building towards. This is either fine for me or terrible. Drawing Abstruse Appropriation makes me feel significantly better about whatever they might be trying to ramp to. Now I just kind of want to let them ramp to it.
Yeah.
We also have, this Breathe Your Last and Wither and Bloom. So, we have removal for days.
Yep.
We're just kind of hanging out at the moment.
Gotta
Theomancer, make a guy. Now,
gotta
whatever
hope
they
this,
make, if they make a Writhing Chrysalis or any other big dumb Eldrazi, we just get to immediately sacrifice a snake to bring back the Accursed Marauder.
Mm-hmm.
So, we don't even have to use the appropriation or anything like that.
Yeah.
So. Opponent with some decisions. Titan's Vanguard is insane. That card's incredibly good.
Yeah.
It's gonna die.
We talk about Writhing Chrysalis being one of the best commons in this set. Titan's Vanguard up there for probably one of the best uncommons in this set. Eldrazi's pushed very, very, very hard in this set.
Absolutely. So, how do we clear this? What is our best way of getting rid of this Vanguard? We have a plethora of options, right? We can't cast the Breather Last because we don't have double black at the moment. But we do have the Landscape, which we should have cracked last turn, but we didn't. All right, opponent is trading with a snake, which I'm very okay with.
Yeah.
We're going to replace the snake. We still have the Abstruse Appropriation. And depending on how our opponent plays out the next couple turns, we can also Wither and Bloom. So here we're just going to take some damage, is the plan, and trade the... Oh, no. We're just going to do this. Okay, that's even better. I like this better. Good job, past me. Yeah. So sacrifice the Gargoyle.
This thing gets persist, so it comes back.
Yep.
Now it's modified, so it flies.
Yes.
It brings back the
Marauder.
Marauder. The only thing they can sacrifice is a Titan's Vanguard.
Yep. We get to put the Marauder back in the graveyard where we want it anyway.
Yeah.
And then, we remake the snake. So we got to attack with the snake. Opponent just killed off the... That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, opponent's not beating the Nightmare
the loop,
Marauder.
The loop, yeah.
Yeah, opponent's just like, I can only do one big dumb thing a turn, and it's never going to do anything. Especially, once you realize that I can sacrifice the Gargoyle to the Accursed Marauder, and then replay the Nightmare to get back the Gargoyle by sacrificing the Marauder. Just those 2 creatures alone go forever.
Yeah, because you get
I get 2 bodies out of my Gargoyle.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's gross.
Yeah. Yeah, and because there's no timing for opponent to have Wither and Bloomed the Ophiomancer before it makes another snake. Like
Yeah,
it goes to upkeep. Upkeep is the first time anybody gets priority, and
yeah,
the Ophiomancer trigger is on the stack already.
which is disgusting.
Yeah. So so this hand we have no early pressure, but we're not exactly like an aggressive deck,
No.
and we do have like some reasonable plays. Though this is definitely the type of hand that we could get run over by like a very good Burrow start.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Very happy with them not just like tapping both lands, just being like
conduit
conduit
goblin,
goblin.
exactly. That's exactly what I would be what I was worried about here. So yeah, just play this out. We did have all three colors in our opener again, which
Hmm.
is what leads me to keep maybe a slower hand.
Yeah.
This is the first one of the first times I'm really seeing Essence Reliquary. And like obviously I've seen it a lot since, I'm
Hmm.
well into the 30s, maybe even 40s for my drafts at this point.
Yeah.
But I think this match was really the first time that I got to see the power of what this card is capable of. Opponent is going to do some disgusting things, and
Really.
I'm here for it.
Oh, I'm super excited to see all this.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
anyway, return it to my hand with the trigger on the stack.
Oh no.
Yeah. So you thought my Chthonian Nightmare was cute last game?
Oh, I didn't even. Ew.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, Thraben Charm can't blow it up because it only hits
Enchantments,
enchantments.
not
Yeah.
artifacts. Yeah.
So what I realized very quickly here is I have to put something into play to get my opponent to do that again, so that I can Thraben Charm the Accursed Marauder in response to them targeting it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So like
He's
I have to make my opponent do this again to make them stop doing it.
you have the actual Chthonian Nightmare. He has Chthonian Nightmare at home.
I guess, but mine costs me 2 mana each time, and his doesn't.
His doesn't. Yeah.
So yeah, you see me all like I am ready for this play pattern. We did this very much on purpose. You see me holding up the Thraben Charm there
Hmm.
for a second.
Hmm.
I am killing this creature in response to this thing. Okay, you have activated your thing. I have effects. Please stop.
Yeah. Gross. Yeah. Get it.
So
Get.
I am
Stop this
losing the
nonsense.
Marionette Apprentice. Like there was no way around that.
No.
I could have played the Inspiring Inventor, but I wasn't convinced that that would get my opponent to play the Accursed Marauder,
Hmm.
and I just wanted to make sure that we were getting the Accursed Marauder that turn. We get to get in with a spawn token.
Yeah. Let's go.
Every time that happens, I get happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. It's happy for me too when I like slam a Titan's Vanguard. I'm like, yeah, now these are 1/2s and they can actually attack.
They can do stuff. Um, but But yeah, so like we now have a board where we've got, 6 power in play. Our
Yeah.
opponent has nothing in play because they were looping in a Cursed Marauder, which, don't get me wrong, was murdering me.
Oh, you can pick up anything.
Yeah, it sure can. Yeah, so opponent was going to miss a land drop. So, instead of that, they just hit their land drop.
That card's actually a lot more powerful than I thought it was.
Yeah, so the big problem with it, grabbing the second black source rather than the second white source based on Wither and Bloom plus multiple black cards in our hand,
Yep.
etc. Yeah, so sorry, the Essence Reliquary. The downside to that card is very simply that it can only be activated on your turn. So it can be activated at instant speed, as evidenced by responding to the Accursed Marauder trigger, etc.
Yeah.
But it is only during your own turn.
Okay.
Yeah. So like you can't save your own stuff from removal spells coming from your opponent, things along those lines. Which again is why I never thought particularly highly of the card until I saw how my opponent kind of like
Yeah.
was able to abuse it in this deck, in their deck, and like this match is what gave me a respect of this card that I did not have previously. Anyway, we're going to continue our march of just like keeping our opponent off of
Off of
permanents
things, yeah.
and attacking a bunch. So we get to attack for 3 again. Opponent's at 11. We're at parity as far as cards in hand.
Yeah.
Even though it feels like opponent has just kind of been looping the same, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've missed land drops, so we're ahead on mana. We're even on cards in hand, and we're ahead on board, which is a good place to be. We play the Inventor and just make an extra body.
Yep.
Like, opponent needs to clear a bunch of stuff, and, they've already shown me a Cursed Marauder plus this thing. I don't just want to put +1/+1 counters on my stuff.
No.
I would rather just go as wide as possible and be able to get in with multiple things. I also have this Knot Master and this Area Auxiliary that are going to reward me for having multiple bodies.
That's true.
So, opponent figuring out what they want to do. Grave Dig, make a 2/2, get back a Cursed Marauder. Sure, makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That's Fellmire, so that's Fell the Profane, but I have a bunch of shitters that aren't really worth Fell the Profaning, which again is part of the reason that I think it's worth it to go wide with the servo here. So I think what we can Wither and Bloom to clear the 2/2. And then we can Area Auxiliary and put counters on the 1/1 and the 1/2. Yeah, exactly. And give me a board full of 2-power creatures. Opponent is, attack for 8. So opponent is at 3, and their Accursed Marauder makes me sacrifice an Inventor.
Yeah.
So now they suddenly have to clear 3 of my creatures.
Yeah.
And to our knowledge, they can clear 2. They can Accursed Marauder, rebuy it with the Reliquary, clear the Area Auxiliary, but then they still have to clear 2 more.
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't matter. Right? We're at a point where this doesn't matter.
No.
Plus we have the Wither and Bloom, so even if they do leave me with only 1 body, because everything has 2 power, the Wither and Bloom that's in our graveyard turns it into a 3-power creature.
That's true.
So, don't get me wrong, this loop is awesome from our opponent, but it doesn't matter at the moment. They stumbled on lands a little bit, and we were able to go really wide and make our board threatening.
Very interesting use of this card.
Yeah.
I never thought about it this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, this was the first time I had seen it kind of get used, and I was like, oh, this card's actually got legs under it that I didn't know.
Kind of a clinic. He put on a kind of a clinic that shows how Essence Reliquary works here.
Yeah, and if opponent had managed to have, hit their land drops a little cleaner, then yeah. So opponent here plays the Vampire, and I think it's a mistake to play the Glyph Elemental. If opponent... So, opponent is just hoping that I'm dumb and attack with everything instead of just killing them with the Flyer, which is fine.
Yeah.
Play to the out of your opponent making a mistake.
Sure.
I agree with this 100%.
Always.
Playing out the Glyph Elemental, I almost think it's better to hold up the 2 mana and make me at least think about the Razor Grass.
Yeah, like an instant removal card, yeah.
Yeah. That said, 100% we just Wither and Bloom, put the counter on our Area Auxiliary, pre-combat, and then attack with a 4/4, so the Razor Glass doesn't kill it.
Yes.
But, and maybe that's what it was. Maybe they were putting me on being good enough to just kill them, and just, here's the stuff I have.
Yep, this is what I have. If you got it, you got it.
Yeah. If you see that you kill me, you got it. Sure. That's fine. So, love that we have the Accursed Marauder to clear this Watchdog right away, because Watchdog, man, that card just kills you, quickly.
Reminds me of Watch Wolf from Ravnica Draft.
Yeah, except in this format, you can follow it up with a 2-mana Colonian Fangs, and just make it an 8/8 real quick.
Yeah, which is really disgusting.
Yeah. I had that happen recently where my opponent just went, Watchdog into Fangs, attack for 8, and I was like, huh.
I guess I'm dead.
It was not ideal. I think I won that game, but it was not a good start. I might be wrong. I might have lost that game. I don't remember exactly. I've drafted a lot lately. In with a snake. Want to trade?
No.
Okay.
Smart. Are they stuck on mana? Did they miss a land drop? So they saw the Watchdog on 2 and probably saw the Unicorn on 2 as well, and they're like, we can keep this withdraw land.
Yeah, it sure seems that way.
But things about to get worse here. You just like slam the auxiliary.
No, we have 5 mana. We just play our 5-drop. You know, and I've talked about this before with you as well. Like
Make
just do
most
the
mana
thing.
efficient.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, both of the cards in our hand put +1/+1 counters on things.
Yeah.
So if this Gargantua gets to survive,
Yeah.
we're gonna draw a lot of cards.
Yes.
Like a lot.
Oh, because the Airy
Triggers it,
too.
and
Yeah.
the Not Master triggers it.
That's true.
Yeah. So we're gonna play our land.
Yep.
We're gonna attack with the snake and the 4/4.
Yep.
We're gonna activate the Gargantua kinda no matter what our opponent does, but we'll see if they want to like block badly, I guess. Right? Give your opponent the opportunity to do something wrong.
Yep.
Yes, I would like to lose 2 life and draw 2 cards.
Yeah, seems great.
Cool stuff. And now probably just play the gargoyle. Yeah, just use all our mana.
Yeah.
So opponent did hit their 3rd land, and it's a 3rd color. But like, what do they do from this board?
That one hiccup.
Yeah,
That one
they
hiccup
missed a
also.
couple land drops and just
Yep.
yeah.
That's all it took.
The draw squall on the snake is real though too.
Yeah.
Like that. That's a death touching snake that's in for 3.
The
Like-
fact that they lose a life when it goes into the attack, yeah.
So all right, next match. So we're doing good. What are we at? 4-1.
4-1.
4-1. So
4-1, yep.
4 wins, free draft. 4 wins always the goal.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so one of the things that we haven't been talking about that I can hear in the background from the old audio.
The play draw.
Yeah, I wasn't even paying attention to it, but yeah, I was on the draw for, I think, 4 out of 5 of those games. And I believe, yeah, coming off the back of the last draft, I was let's just say I hit a spree of not being on the play. So I was very excited just to be on the play for a change. And again, this deck isn't particularly aggressive, so it's not the biggest deal in the world.
Right.
But, you know, being on the play is a big deal, especially when, like, my kill spells cost 3 mana, you know, my relevant plays cost 2 and 3 mana. Getting behind an opponent that curves out, even if you can come from behind,
Yeah.
sometimes it gets tricky.
Yeah.
But yeah, no reason to pump this guy. We're just kind of in for two, until our opponent does something and makes us do something.
Yep.
There's no reason to spend our mana.
Play this pigeon, make them discard a card.
Exactly. Full value pigeon. We actually had to pay 4 mana for this thing.
Hey.
I think that's the first time.
That card's good enough to pay 4 mana.
I agree. Flying, the ability to be cheaper. Like, the thing is like, this might be the first time I paid 4 mana for it.
Mm-hmm.
I also know for a fact that I've paid 1 mana for it a few times.
Yeah.
So, we'll take the 4s every now and again. So, yeah, we've got, I think, I don't care about these gremlins necessarily, but what am I doing for turn if not just this, right? If they want to just single block, that's fine. We pay the 2 mana and just eat the gremlin, right?
Yep.
If we do this pre-combat, then they're kind of like, they're going to double block.
Mm-hmm.
And the ability to use the area auxiliary later to put a counter on it and give it menace at a point where it's more relevant. Yeah. Whereas this turn, you know, we just activate our thing and we get to Wither and Bloom to clear something. So, yeah, nothing happens. They made a 1/1. We're going to crack our landscape. And I think we want to Wither and Bloom the flyer away after their end step, after this Muster of the Departed has had a chance to trigger. Make sure that they can't populate the flyer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if they populate gremlins all day long. That doesn't matter to me.
No.
But making sure that the sky is clear so that this refurbished familiar and area auxiliary can do what they got to do. You know, and here we are again. We have 5 mana, so we instead of playing the area auxiliary, we're just going to get exactly. Like, we're already applying plenty of pressure. Our opponent would have needed to hit another land drop to even make Wrath the Skies clear the Gargantua, and if they are, they're also clearing their own Muster of the Departed and Scurry.
Right.
So, okay. Writhing Chrysalis, obviously, a problem. Like that card's very good.
Yeah, if you didn't have the breathe your last in your hand.
If I didn't have a Breathe Your Last, if this fetid Gargantua wasn't massive,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so if there's an issue here, it's that they can just chump block with a
The
token.
tokens.
Yeah, but yeah. So we're just gonna clear this to make sure that we get in at least 2 damage with the Refurbished Familiar,
Yeah.
and then go from here. We still have 3 mana up, so we can still adapt the fetid Gargantua. Not that they have blocks that force me to do that, but this lets us attack with everything. If our opponent wants to play like technically correctly, assuming they don't need the mana, yeah, they can block the lifelinker and sack to deny me 3 life.
Yeah.
Not that I care because I'm at 30, and not that they did, so I'm at 33. But the technically correct play is block the lifelinker and sacrifice the spawn.
Yeah.
Which, like I'm talking about that now not because I've never made a mistake personally. Like, if you watched 2 drafts ago, I think, I didn't block with a spawn on a fetid Gargantua coming my way,
Oh.
and adapted by using the mana from that spawn, and wound up just taking 6 or 7 damage for no reason at all.
Right.
So, like, I am not, immune to making mistakes. So this area auxiliary that we've been sandbagging for this entire game, we play it so that we have exactly lethal coming across.
Yeah.
Opponent says nice, so I respond the same way I'm always going to respond and just say thanks. Yeah, like we were sandbagging that auxiliary for an opportunity where it did something relevant, whether
Yeah.
that was give menace to the vampire or draw me 2 more cards with the Gargantua,
Yep.
or a number of other different things that are worthwhile. We didn't need it yet, so we didn't play it.
Nope.
So here we go. We have all 3 of our colors again. We have a pretty reasonable curve. By curve, I mean Marionette Apprentice. We can cycle. We have the Abstruse Appropriation. We're on the draw again, so, back to that.
If you were keeping track.
I wasn't keeping track, but now that I
Now
mentioned
that
it, now I am. And that's actually perfect. Another 2-drop.
2-drop.
Yeah, another 2-drop is kind of exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. I think I like leading on the vampire, but I'm not sure. Yeah, leading on the Marionette Apprentice puts 2 bodies into play, so it just kind of like guarantees I'm left with something after my opponent probably kills it.
Yeah.
But anytime my opponent leads on Mountain, I assume that I'm getting Galvanic Discharged.
Yeah.
Just always and forever, I'm going to assume that card is going to clear whatever I do.
And there it is.
And there it is. So yeah, we could have played the vampire, but they get an extra energy if I play the vampire.
Yes.
Also, I'm left without a board presence, and this way I at least have a random 1/1 just kind of vibing.
Yeah.
Not that the 1/1 is particularly relevant, but it's not nothing either. So
Molten Gatekeeper.
yeah, so I think I like just playing the vampire here and the landscape, crack it, find the mountain. We have no attacks, obviously, but we're probably not cycling this angel either. Like we're at 5 mana showing in our hand.
Yeah.
The only reason we would cycle the angel is if we draw the Pyretic Rebirth, I think. Because it just throws something worth getting back that kills almost anything. When Pyretic Rebirth can just murder an Eldrazi, it feels pretty good. So there's 6, so now we're almost definitely not cycling this angel. There's no good attacks here.
Nope.
There's nothing really worth doing. But, it is what it is. So, yeah, no particularly good attacks.
No.
Adapting doesn't really accomplish anything. Like, I don't really want to trade with the Molten Gatekeeper here.
Right.
I also don't want to obstruse appropriation either of these creatures.
I don't think you care enough.
And I don't want to play the area auxiliary into the board with without having adapted the vampire first.
Yeah.
Because then I lose the ability to adapt later.
Yeah.
So.
Another Essence Reliquary.
Yeah, this board is way less scary than my last opponent's, and now that I've seen what this card is capable of, mine.
Yeah.
I did double check. It does say another. It cannot target itself. I did double check that before we.
Okay.
So here's something pretty cool.
The fact that it's an artifact makes
it's an artifact which makes the familiar go from costing 3 to costing 2. So we get to familiar, make them discard a card, then use it to bounce the familiar.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
So opponent has already missed a land drop, right?
Yeah.
And now we're just going to absolutely decimate their hand. Without leaving our familiar in play to get Fanged Flames or similar.
Yep. Oh, that's every turn. That's so disgusting.
Well, this turn it's twice. This turn it's play the familiar, you discard a card, bounce the familiar, play the familiar, you discard a card. So the familiar will be in play this time, but not before it's made you discard 3 cards. And then if you're using a kill spell on it, it basically traded for 4 things.
Right.
And Chthonian Nightmare is still in my deck somewhere. Yeah, opponent just discarding multiple 5-drops. They discarded the Voltstorm Angel and the Ajani Fills the Godsire. Like, they missed land drops. There's a land, whatever. They're down to 2 cards in hand. They're attacking here.
Just to be doing something, it seems like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Attack, concede.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just going to infinitely just, like, put this pigeon in play and make them discard cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to cast that pigeon every turn.
Yeah. That's an insurmountable...
It's a lot. It's a lot. And if that stops being relevant, remember we have the area auxiliary in our hand. Yeah. And we can just start bouncing that every turn.
Which is also heinous.
After combat. Yeah. After we attack with our flyers.
Yeah, also heinous, yeah.
So, yeah, like, there we go. But yeah, that was it. So, nice, clean trophy.
Yeah, sick trophy.
Yeah.
The deck was sweet.
Deck was really sweet. The red splash, realistically, was the Pyretic Rebirth did some work.
Yeah, the Skittering Precursor never...
It never really got to pop off.
Yeah,
but like,
I mean...
The deck was certainly built with the ability for it to do some stuff.
Yeah.
It got played once and immediately sacrificed to the Accursed Marauder with the Essence Reliquary.
Yeah. Yeah.
That happened. But it's fine. Yeah. I was pretty happy with that one.
Yeah.
Orzhov not being one of the more prominent color combinations in Modern Horizons 3 draft.
Yep.
Good run.
Just and then it never seemed like you were behind in any of the games. Like, it felt like all the games... The
only game that felt like I was behind is the one where opponent ripped Deluge into Victimize.
Yeah, because that was the game that you that's the game that you lost.
That's the one that we lost. And even that game, we almost clawed our way back into it.
Yeah. But every other game, like, the ones that you won, like, it was, like decisive. Like, you beat the brakes off your opponent.
Yeah, I think there was one of the games, I think we were, like, low single digits, where, like, if opponent found the right removal spell at the right moment, they might have been able to squeak out the win. But yeah, that deck felt pretty commanding once we got to the mid game.
Yeah.
It was, again, very good at grinding. I was pretty happy with that one.
Yeah.
But anyway, Brian, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, no problem.
We appreciate you. And thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.